Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good whatever it is, depending on the time that you are watching this video. I would like to welcome you to our Community Foundation Week celebration. My name is Gloria Coicou. I serve as the Chief Engagement, so that's Community Engagement, Equity, and Grants Officer at the Community Foundation. We want to again welcome you and thank you for participating in this week's lesson, where we are going to talk about the intersection of DEI and philanthropy. So, again, I just want to thank you all for being here. I am technologically challenged sometimes, so hopefully my slides will match what I'm saying. So please bear with me. So this year we are celebrating 25 years. It's our 25th anniversary. Thank you all so much for participating in our events for the week. We reflect on how far we've come and just how deeply rooted DEI is in our work. And if you've come to any of our events, any of our Let's Talks, or any of our programs, or in person or virtual, you know how deeply rooted DEI is in our work. For 25 years, we've prioritized listening, learning, and actually partnering with communities that have historically been marginalized or underrepresented. DEI to us is not just a value in our mission, vision, and values. It's the foundation of our philanthropy. It shapes who we fund, how we fund, everything that we do, how we show up alongside you, our neighbors. Our strategy is community driven. It's meaning that every decision begins with understanding lived experiences and building those relationships that are grounded in trust. See, like I said, that was the slide that I should have been showing when I was just talking about working at the intersection of DEI and philanthropy. So bear with me, folks. All right. So we're going to go over to our next slide. Understanding DEI in philanthropy. So we're going to talk about DEI in philanthropy and then philanthropy in DEI on the next slide. So DEI in philanthropy is more than just our numbers and our checklists. Diversity asks, who's at the table? Whose voices are present? Who is invited to the table? Where are we getting these lists for these invitations? That's really what diversity means. So who's represented? Equity asks, who has access to the resources? Who has access to opportunities to actually thrive? And inclusion means who feels valued? So who feels welcomed? Who feels respected and empowered enough to participate fully? Over the last 25 years, we've learned that centering these three principles allows philanthropy to be more responsive and allows us to be more meaningful in our responses. By reflecting the richness of our community, we ensure that everyone, especially those historically excluded and underrepresented, has a seat at the table. So now we're going to talk about philanthropy through a DEI lens. Equity-centered philanthropy means we focus on people and communities, not just programs or dollars. We center lived experiences, especially of those who are often overlooked in the traditional funding decisions that we are very intentional about. This involves rebalancing power, ensuring that decision-making is shared with those most impacted. For 25 years, our foundation has prioritized trust building, showing up consistently in our community, listening deeply, and co-creating solutions with community leaders. Equity is an ongoing practice, not a one-time initiative. This is life's work. And when we say listen deeply, co-creating solutions, a perfect example would be our site visit that we had yesterday, November 14th, with Kitchen Theater and Emily Jackson, their artistic director there, asked wonderfully thoughtful questions and got real feedback from staff at the Community Foundation, from our community members that went. There were a few board members that were there, and it was a rich, meaningful, deep, impactful conversation that we had. And we were listening deeply, and we have created that space to bounce ideas off of each other and talk through things and develop solutions together. This is why we do what we do. Diverse philanthropy in practice. So what do we mean by diverse philanthropy? Giving comes in so many different forms, and philanthropy is shaped by so many different things, including culture, identity, tradition. Some communities practice mutual aid, and we are one of those communities that practice mutual aid, and that's coming together in support of each other. Some give through faith-based networks, so your church or your mosque or wherever you decide to go, and others through informal acts of reciprocity. So by honoring these traditions, we recognize that all forms of giving are valid, however you are willing to give. And on the next slide, I'll talk about different ways of giving. Celebrating 25 years of service, we've seen how diverse approaches to philanthropy strengthen community bonds, build resilience, and create lasting impact. So people ask, am I a philanthropist? Can I be a philanthropist? Everyone is a philanthropist. Philanthropy is not just reserved for the affluent and the rich and the wealthy. Everyone is a philanthropist through 3 T's. Now, if you were to ask George Ferrari, our CEO, at this point, I think there's like 9 or 10 T's that he goes with, but we're going to focus on just 3 T's, and that is your time. You can give your time. Everyone has done this. Everyone has volunteered at some point for a PTA, or volunteered at a food pantry, or volunteered your time at work. It can be mentoring. It could be mentoring a youth, or mentoring your niece or your nephew or a child in the community. It can be organizing something. It can be figuring out how to bring together people, your talent. You are sharing your skills, your knowledge, your expertise. You are helping an organization fill out their QuickBooks. You're sharing your expertise. You can do something like provide cakes or desserts for a fundraiser, that is giving of your talent. And then, of course, there is your treasure. So that's any level of financial contribution, whether it's $1 or it is a legacy gift, or a state gift of $3 million. We've seen all of it, and it is all important, and it is all impactful. Over 25 years, we've witnessed numerous, so many examples of everyday philanthropy, creating extraordinary impact, from neighbors supporting one another to youth leading community initiatives. Giving looks different for everyone, and all contributions are valuable. Like I said, whether you are on one of our review teams, for example, if you come to one of our events or a women's fund events, if you decide that you want to give to a specific fund, if arts and culture is important to you and you want to give $5 to the arts and culture fund, it's $5 more than we did have, and it's valuable and it's impactful. So everyone is a philanthropist. You don't need to be wealthy to be a philanthropist. So you can say to yourself now, I am a philanthropist. Intentional, equity-centered grant making. Our grant making is purposeful. It is DEI-centered, equity-centered. If you have gone through any of our processes, if you have gone to any of our info sessions, we are very proud of this. We hold community listening sessions. We've done this in the past. We've simplified applications. We understand that applications are work. It's a full-time job, and we are not the only ones that you are applying for. We understand that. We're not the only application. So we try to simplify and streamline applications, making sure that they are user-friendly, making sure that they make sense. We remove procedural barriers. We make it easier for you to apply. We prioritize funding organizations led by communities that they serve. So BIPOC-led organizations, organizations that are led by Black and Brown people, organizations who have Black and Brown people at their leadership on the board level, the staff level. We subscribe to what is called trust-based philanthropy. You've heard it all before. It's a framework that guides our work and our grant making. These practices reflect 25 years of learning that the most impactful solutions and the most important work are those that are co-created with those who know their communities best. And we will stand by that. Community engagement in action. So community engagement is part of what I do in my role at the Community Foundation. It's at the heart of our work. It's at the heart of what we do. We believe in partnerships rather than transactions. We understand that philanthropy is transaction heavy. We understand that. We are not just an ATM. We love to say that we're not just an ATM. We like to go beyond the grant check, and we want to be a community partner. We want to be your partner. Communities are collaborators, not just recipients. They're our partners. For 25 years, we have focused on co-creation, shared leadership, and ongoing relationships. And this approach ensures that programs reflect real needs and values, not assumptions. Why DEI matters, especially now, in the environment that we're currently in. Why does DEI matter? That's a great question. DEI to us and in philanthropy, it strengthens impact by building trust, making funding responsive to actual needs, and supporting systemic change. Again, supporting systemic change. We want things to change. Celebrating 25 years, we can see the difference long-term commitment to DEI makes. Stronger organizations, empowered communities, and policies shaped by those most affected. That's why DEI matters. Some examples of DEI-centered grant making is rapid response, flexible funds. So we have our off-cycle grant requests that come in, rapid response, flexible funds, meaning that it's not tied to any specific project. You are able to use it in any way that you see fit as an organization. Another example is capacity building for those smaller organizations who are just don't have the capacity, or they're strictly volunteer run and they don't have a staff of 50 or 50 plus people to help support their mission. And funding led by historically marginalized groups. These approaches reflect our philosophy that equity must be intentional and embedded in every funding decision. A philosophy we have refined over the years. We don't claim to be perfect or even have it right, but it's something that we are intentional about and we continue to focus on and work on. Impact, it's not just about numbers. I think we've learned to balance qualitative stories with quantitative data and to define success based on community-defined outcomes. Long-term relationships and trust matter as much as measurable outputs. This is why on our application, we ask for numbers, right? Because everybody wants to know about the numbers. The community wants to know about the numbers. Our committees and our board, everybody wants to know the numbers. That's perfectly reasonable. But we always ask about stories too. We want to hear about the qualitative data. We want to hear about the stories. This approach ensures philanthropy reflects real life community experience. And that's a balance that we have tried to master. We cannot wait to share our impact storybook with you on Tuesday, Storybook Tuesday. If you've been following us for the week, you'll hear real life stories from those directly impacted by our work. And in celebration of our 25 years, we'll have 25 stories to share with you. So this is kind of always how we like to end. So what can you do? What is your role in equitable philanthropy? Everyone has a role. Give your time, your skills, your resources. Support organizations that center the things that you care about. Doesn't need to be just equity or inclusion or DEI. The things that you care about, support those organizations. It doesn't need to be the community foundation. Be great if it was, but support those organizations that center and align with what you care about. Amplify voices that are often unheard. If you have a voice that is heard and people hear your voice and you have a platform, amplify those voices that are unheard, those community voices that need to be heard. Amplify those voices. We've seen how collective action, big or small, creates meaningful change. You, you, you are a vital part of our ongoing story. And we are honored to have you as part of our ongoing story. So here's to 25 years of service at the Community Foundation and 25 more. We hope to see you at our events and our programs. We hope that you engage with us. We hope that you are able to learn from each other, learn from us, ask questions, engage, and look out for our storybook on Tuesday. I'll also put in a shameless plug, two shameless plugs. On Monday, we are going to have our fundraiser at Panera Bread from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. I personally will be there at 4:30. If you just mentioned Community Foundation fundraiser, your 25% of your purchase will go to the Community Foundation. So you will have a impactful part in philanthropy when you make a purchase. All you need to do is just say Community Foundation, do nothing more, eat as you would regularly eat. We're not asking that you buy more than you normally would. But just come and join us. I'll be there at 4:30 at Panera Bread. And on Tuesday, we are going to share our Impact Storybook. And then on Tuesday evening from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m., we will be at the Community School of Music and Arts on State Street. We will be there from 4 to 6. We'll be there volunteering. It's a community volunteer event. We need lots of support. They need lots of support and lots of help. They have 4 floors of work for us just waiting, and we hope to see you there. So again, thank you for joining us. Happy Community Foundation Week, and I hope you were able to learn something from your time with me today. Take care.